Live. You're listening to with Men, the podcast.
But this is Men, the podcast. Mimi naitwa Michael Baruti. Nadia is here. And like we always say, tunazungumzia mental health for men. Why tunafanya men, the podcast? Kwa sababu tunajaribu kuunpack na kuunlearn vitu ambavyo wanaume tumefundishwa kwa muda mrefu na kujaribu kufuata vile ambavyo ni bora zaidi, lakini pia kuanzisha conversation kuhusiana na mental health kwa wanaume. It's important. On Twitter @Men the podcast and on Instagram @Men the podcast. Lakini vile kama unataka kuongea na Nadia au unataka kumpata Nadia, it is through Mind Matters TZ, both on Twitter and on Instagram. And then there's kwenye bio yake kuna link itakayokupeleka moja kwa moja kwenye website yake, and then utapata emails, namba za simu and every other means ya kuweza kuwasiliana naye. So yeah, and always tunajaribu kuaddress the elephant in the room. Yeah, but now
we're addressing the actual room.
Yeah,
where the elephant exists.
My man. So we are blessed to kwenye studio leo hii tuko na this guy. He's a comedian and also a filmmaker. Bwana Sadick Ali.
Hello.
Chief, karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
Na tunashukuru kwa kuweza kutupa opportunity ya kufika kwenye studio ketu ili tuweze kurekodi na wewe session nyingine Men the podcast.
Mimi nashukuru kwa kuwepo.
Yeah, man.
I'm thankful for the opportunity.
Yeah. So when you say you're a filmmaker and a stand-up comedian, as a stand-up comedian, can you be an actor? Or if you're a comedian, you have to be an actor? Or you can just be a comedian after you do not do any movies, no nothing, you just do comedy, stand-up comedy?
I think it goes with what kind of talents you have, because we've seen comedians cross the board and become actors.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've seen actors become comedians.
If you don't
got the juice.
Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also the funny thing is, as comedians, when they cross over to do acting, a lot of them lose the comedy.
I see what's happening to Kevin Hart right now.
You see what I mean?
Probably that's why Dave Chappelle is only doing comedies. He does not want to do movies.
Chris Tucker. Who else? Martin Lawrence for me was even devastating, because Martin was one of the best hosts ever in comedy.
Yeah.
One of the best comedians ever. Legend, hands down. But he hasn't gone back to doing comedy because he lost his touch through all the movies, the time he spent doing movies.
Yeah.
Comedy is a thing that you need to practice constantly. You're only as good as your last performance, basically. Yeah.
All right.
So it's that vibe.
Yeah, and how did you end up being, at what stage did you actually know, like, this is it, this is what I want to do, I'm funny, I can actually stand in front of people, make people laugh. At what point?
For me, I've been on stage since I was 7 years old. I've been on stage doing theater. I've been on stage doing choir, music. I've been in a rock band. So performance has been a big part of my life. I started doing stand-up comedy in 2014 when I was in Cape Town, when I was doing my last year of university. So, I've always been the funny guy in a way. So at one point we were like, guys, why don't we just do a comedy show? And there was 3 other guys and myself who, one is now a radio DJ in SA, one is a actor, the other one, I have no idea what he's doing. And then me. So we just came together and did it. And from the first moment I performed stand-up on stage in front of people, I've done performances before in different things, but when I did that, I had never felt more free on stage than that moment. And I decided, okay, I'm going to make this a part of my career.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this.
Oh, wow. And how was it in Tanzania? I know I'm asking this question. Now, this is me being a fan before getting to what you're trying to discuss today. Tanzania, perception ya watu kwenye stand-up comedy?
Stand-up comedy Tanzania it's still young. Bado ni kitu kichanga sana, but it's growing at an immense speed. It's growing so fast. Platforms in Ibuka from different places, from different people. So the audience is now catching up to stand-up comedy. The comics are also growing. So we're all growing in unison in a way. And wote tunakuwa pamoja, which is a beautiful thing, because they learn, we learn, and we go together.
Okay, great. Now, back to what we're discussing today. After a lot of talk, turudi kwenye tunachotaka kuzungumzia leo. Leo hii tunajaribu kuangalia a man box. Yeah? Na tunajaribu kuangalia modern man. Yeah, you're a modern man. I'd like to think I am a modern man. I feel like I'm old school a bit.
I'm a modern woman.
Yes, you is, Nadia. Yes, you is. So, yeah, tunajaribu kuangalia modern man na man box. Issue kubwa ni kwamba tunajaribu like I said kwenye intro yetu kwamba tunajaribu kuredefine jinsi gani wanaume tunaangalia vitu, namna gani wanaume tunatakiwa kudeal na vitu na mambo kama. So it was great ulivyosema kwamba, you know what guys, let me get on your show and let me talk my shit. So I was like, cool, bring him on. So Nadia is a therapist by profession, a man by association, kwa sababu ya podcast ambayo tunaifanya. Na wewe Sadick, based on your experience na knowledge yako. So when you talk of a man box, what exactly do we mean? Tunamaanisha box la mwanaume au box ambayo limemfunga mwanaume. Tunamaanisha nini ukiangalia current context na modern man? So who wants to go first between you two?
Ladies first, always.
I saw that.
That is part of the man box too.
We'll address that.
Yeah, but when we speak about the man box, basically society's understanding and society's description of who a man is and what a man does, what a man doesn't do. So basically kama ni description. Yeah, huyu ndo mwanaume na umepewa kama terms of reference zile.
TOR.
TOR is this is a man does this, he doesn't do this, he does this. And for centuries, men have been living in that man box. Na pia it's passed on.
It's our Bible.
Basically.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Bible. Everyone, it's like unakuwa and automatically tu hata mtu mwingine hakuambii, lakini through culture, through traditions, through society, you find yourself living those terms of reference. Living those, descriptors that are in the man box. So tukiongelea man box no basically hiyo, yani definition ambayo watu, wanawake na wanaume have created that huyu mwanaume anabidi awe hivi.
Now Sadick, is that you agreeing that kuna unachakuongeza kwenye description?
I agree with her, but also I would add on, it's also this thing where as men we've constructed it and we decide what goes in there. And okay, before we get too far ahead, there's a lot of toxic stuff in there, but also there's a lot of beautiful things.
Yeah, because that was going to be my next question. Is it a bad thing?
It's like two sides of the same coin, basically. There's bad stuff in there, definitely.
Yes.
Like, wow. And there's kuna vitu vizuri ambao as men we can, hold on to and say, this is what it means to be a man.
So let's start with vizuri. What are good things ambavyo tunaona kwamba vimewekwa kwenye hili box la mwanaume, especially tukijaribu kuangalia mazingira tunaishi nayo sisi mwanaume wa Kitanzania. What are the good things ambavyo you can actually find in the man box?
Being ambitious. Kuwa mchapakazi. It's a strong trait associated with men. A man needs to be a go-getter. He has to be ambitious. Ajue yani trajectory yake, which is a positive thing. Ndio, when it's in excess, it leads to mental illness and mental health problems. So if you have it, reach out. But yeah, kuna hizo traits like being protective. When is that a bad thing?
Being overprotective?
So everything in balance ni muhimu. So kuna a lot of different traits ambazo ni being assertive. Mwanaume kuwa assertive, kuwa na msimamo ni kitu kizuri. Yeah, but being aggressive is a different thing. Yeah, so the man box itself has, when we talk about masculinity itself, masculinity as masculinity without any cultural, traditional world filter is a beautiful thing. All those characteristics and traits, when they are lived, when they're experienced, it builds, the man builds the world he lives in, builds the society, and zinaendana sasa wana complement. When I think about yin and yang, there is masculine, there's feminine energy. In every man there is a bit of feminine, every woman there's a bit of masculine. Yeah. So when we think about the man box, it's like saying, remove that feminine and just amplify our masculine characteristics.
Yeah.
So you again kuenda kwenye hiyo extreme.
Yeah. Sadick has a man box. Imekusaidia wewe chochote? The positive stuff. Before we get to Before we get to the other side, I know that's what everybody wants to hear. But let's talk about the positive. I mean, like what I just said, I'm talking about being ambitious, being assertive, being protective. Has it you personally? Has it helped you?
It has it has in many ways. It has in the sense of, like, I have had to grow up with, I come from a family of 7 kids. So being the third born, you have to sort of protect the little ones. You know, you have to lead them.
And fight.
You know what I mean? So that protective role of the man box as well, the leadership aspect of it, taking charge of certain things, that has helped me sort of shape myself in a way. Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's get to the other side. The things ambavyo tunaviona kwamba ni toxic that are being found in the man box. What are some of these things?
What is toxic masculinity in Kiswahili again?
Tuliambiwa ni udume sumu.
Udume sumu.
Yeah. Tuliambiwa ni udume sumu.
Unajua ukisema kwa Kiswahili, it has more weight.
It has an impact.
It has a big impact. It's like, it shakes you. Yeah. Traits like kuwa overly aggressive. So anger is an emotion, it's healthy.
Very much so.
Aggressiveness and being overly aggressive or not being able to contain or use that anger in a way that is productive. Yeah, ukiangalia toxic masculinity is a lot of men. Yeah, and this is why when we think about domestic violences and all these, the statistics show mainly, like the majority of people who are perpetrators ni men. Ni kwa sababu it falls in the toxic masculinity that a man is strong and so you must exercise your strength. You know, because it's my role to protect. I will do whatever it takes, you know, to make sure that I'm a protector. Vulnerability is out of that box.
Kabisa.
Like I cannot show any weakness. So depriving yourself of emotions, because that's another toxic trait. When we talk about toxic masculinity, ni kwamba the only emotions that are appropriate for a man to express are anger.
Asira.
Times 3 anger. And then there's other emotions. And then there's the emotions such as empathy, sadness. All of these we've termed, this is a female. And so hiyo yenyewe pia is a toxic masculine trait. Kwamba kusema, okay, hizi ndo emotions ambazo tunaweza tukazi display na tukazi feel, afu hizi zingine za wanawake. Uki-express hizi we ni umama huo au ni nini. That in itself as well. You know, na muda mwingine, as Sadiq said earlier, that the man box is constructed by men. It was patriarchy that helped form this man box. Na toxic masculinity imezalika na uko. You know, and you find kwamba mwanaume mwenyewe anaanza kujiambia mimi siwezi nika express hizi emotions kwa sababu nitaonekana mimi dhaifu. Wanawake ndo hiyo trait yao, like it's okay for a woman kuwa weak, lakini mwanaume hapana. Mimi mwanaume lazima niwe na you know, I have to hold control myself, I have to keep this, I have to protect, which are all toxic traits. So it's not just these specific words, sijui aggressiveness, sijui nini. It's also the thinking. Mimi kama mwanaume siwezi nikalia. Hata kama nimefio, baba yangu amekufa, mke wangu amefariki, siruhusiwi kulia hapa. Siwezi kulia. Afu sasa nani ataiangalia familia yangu? Watu wananitegemea, mimi nikilia inakuaje? That thinking yenyewe pia ni toxic.
Man box. Sadiq, so Nadia amefanikiwa in a nutshell kutueleza what a man box is. What a man box is. Box la mwanaume. Jesus, I need to speak something. Box la mwanaume ni na vitu vilivyomo mle ndani na thinking na nini na vitu kama hivyo. Tukijaribu kuangalia mwanaume wa sasa. Na nikizungumzia mwanaume wa sasa, nazungumzia generation yangu hii kidogo, labda watu my generation, our generation. Wazee huko tayari wameshaenda na yako. Whether it worked for them au haikufanya kazi kwao, that is done. Lakini ukija kuangalia kwa current generation, how is this thinking impacting us na uwepo in men box? How is it actually either limiting us au how was it impacting us?
You know, when you said earlier we're trying to save a boy child in a way. Toxic masculinity inaanza mapema sana. It starts so early. It starts when you're a kid. It starts when, like, a boy and a girl could be in a room playing. The boy anaweza kawa anachezea what we might deem a feminine toy, a doll. Could be a simple teddy bear doll. And the girl could be playing with a fire truck. An elderly person ataingia kwenye hicho chumba and change what they're playing with. Anaweza kamnyang'anya the boy the doll. Why are you playing with this? You're a boy. To take the car, go play with a water gun, something. And the girl, the same thing. Why are you playing with boys' toys? Who deemed the fire truck a boys' toy? Nani alisema?
Yeah.
And they will change that. Kwa hiyo inaanza mapema. A boy, akiwa anything happens and they start crying and they run especially to the dad or an uncle or an older brother, the first thing they get is, why are you crying?
Yeah, be a man.
Be a man. Stop crying. Stop crying, then talk to me. Be a man. At that moment, it goes into his head, Kwamba, this is wrong. I cannot express this emotion that I'm feeling through tears. Hapo ndo tunapoanza sasa to not be able to understand our emotions. And you cannot go through something until you go through something. You cannot understand anger mpaka go through that anger. Come out the other side. Cry. Do what you have to do. Come out the other side. Then you've understood it. Otherwise, ni kitu ambacho unakuwa umekifungia. Ni kitu ambacho kinakuwa pale and kina spread into other parts of your life. For men, it gets, kama Nadia alivyosema, your wife could pass away and you cannot cry. Personally, I was recently at a funeral. My uncle lost his wife. We drove from the burial. It's me, him, and my older brother in the car. We drove from the burial. This man has held his emotions siku nzima. No tears around the aunties, around his sisters, around Nini, nothing. So when we got back to the house, everybody has gotten out the car. What? I'm about to lock up. He says, no, just give me 5 minutes. The moment I closed that door, that man broke down.
Yeah.
Into tears. But again, kama ulivyosema, hawezi kuonyesha kwa watu kwa sababu it's deemed a weakness. It's deemed that something you cannot show. And that, again, goes through so many other things. And kwa mfano, that statement, napenda sana hii statement, you throw like a girl.
Yeah.
You run like a girl. You do this like a girl. What are we teaching boys about
Yeah,
girls?
exactly.
Tunawaambia nini kuhusu watoto wa kike? This is how men grow up and don't know how to deal with women. Because now they've been told early, women are weaker than you. Women are less than you. Women are this thing. And that's the whole man box. And I would say the state of how sasa hivi dunia ilivyo ni kwa sababu men have been making choices out of the man box. Literally, we've been doing that. And I've been saying this so much, kwamba we need to take a seat for a moment as men and discuss reevaluate the man box. Change the rules of the man box. Because it's modern times. Things have changed now. You cannot be a man without having a little feminine in you. And I'm not saying sijui, not in a bad way, you can buy high heels or a dress. No. What I'm saying is be in touch with yourself. Because that's the only way you can be a better person with other people.
And again, I like what you just said about being in touch with yourself. Because kwanza kabisa, as we're being honest here, so I tell the truth, nothing but the truth, is that is one thing about you, even we as men, we don't talk about.
We don't.
We don't. And for all the things about wanaume tunazungumzia, we never, ever, ever discuss about being in touch with yourself na vitu kama hivyo. Now, the advantage that it has, ambao watu wengi, probably watu wengi wafahamu, ni kwamba it is so, it feels so good when you understand that about you. It feels so good when you understand that about you, and when you know kwamba it doesn't matter how I feel about a certain situation, it is not going to make me any less of a man. You know?
Yes.
It is not going to make me any less of a man. But then again, tunaogopa kuongea.
Yes, peer pressure. Man box peer pressure. It comes from it. Kwa sababu you can't bring it to the table. We're all at the table with the man box. Unaletaje hii kitu ambayo sisi tunaita mambo ya kike.
Umama.
Umama. Usituletee umama hapa bwana. Tumekaa wanaume hapa mambo gani. We don't bring it to the table.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. We need to start discussing these things. Another thing that I call peer pressure like that, exactly like that, not being able to discuss something that's, that men don't talk about, is the same way how we are forced as men because of the box to feel like, to show our fellow men we have power over women. In the sense of, even if you guys could be in a club, wanaume mko club, you're drinking, there's a beautiful woman, you're discussing, nenda go. You have that pressure of go. It's not a choice you're making.
And it's kind of, you don't even want to go.
You don't want
Yeah.
to. Hutaki. Umekuja pale to do other things, to conversate, to have a drink. But because the box has now said go, and if you don't, you are weak. You are not man enough.
Na kwenye group la WhatsApp utageuke laughing stock.
Yeah. You see what I mean? So we really have to define this man box. We really have to say this.
And then, so, how do we as men, because like you said, I think from my understanding ni kwamba peer pressure ndio ina change. Kwa sababu, what I believe ni kwamba kila mtu akikaa mwenyewe, I feel like a lot of men, sometimes, tukikaa wenyewe, tunapenda kuwa opposite na tunavyoonyesha jamii. That's what I like to think.
Yes, right.
Kwamba mimi nikikaa yani nyumbani kwangu mwenyewe nimejifungia. I'm like, but I do not like how maybe jinsi ninavyo act, jinsi ninavyoongea na watu, jinsi ninavyo troll watu online, jinsi ninavyoingia Twitter na kuandika vitu ninavyoandika na vitu kama hivyo na nini. But then if I don't do it,
you're not man enough.
I'm not a man enough.
At the moment you step out of your door, which, your comfort zone, ukitoka tu pale, you got to put on your man hat.
Yeah.
And it might not, that man hat might not be everything you agree with, but it's the hat that the collective is wearing. And if you don't wear the same hat, you're different.
You're out of the group.
You're out of the man group.
And when we look at it, binadamu tunataka to belong into a group. That's why we have borders and we have countries and we have we have cultures, we have traditions. Hata Tanzania yenyewe kuna tribes kibao, groups.
Over 120.
And we all want to belong somewhere. Sasa wewe nyumbani ndio ndani kwako unaweza kukaa ukasema I don't really have resonate nachokifanya na mimi ninavyojisikia haviendani. Yaani akili zako inagombana kila saa. It's like, what are we doing? Lakini sasa ukitoka nje useme uvue hiyo kofia, it threatens sasa your belonging in a group, which is a big thing. And that's why I think that's one of the biggest thing that forces men to continue wearing the hat, kwa sababu hamna mtu anataka kuwa out of the group, because now you're on your own. Hata ukifikiria in survival basis, you are better off in a group. If anything happens, you're stronger together. Wanaume wengi ukiangalia, when you talk to, hapa tu kwenye podcast wanaume tumeongea na wanaume wengi, tunaongea na wanaume wengi kila siku, tunaendelea kuongea na wanaume in our lives, no one ever says that they're happy about not being able to express themselves, not being able to be who they truly are. Lakini, because they need to belong in this group, I can't afford to not be part of the group, because then what does that mean? I'm on my own.
What is wrong with being on your own, though?
People don't know how to be on their own.
Speak on it a little bit more.
That's a big thing. Personally, I had to get that experience bila kupenda in a way. At 10 years old, I was in SA school, boarding school. No family, nobody I know. Just take him, go to boarding school. Now I'm been dropped kwenye hii dunia ambayo, or this world where I don't know this culture. I don't have the mental capacity to break it down and see where I fit.
Yeah.
I'm still a boy who's 10 years old. So I spent about a year at that school. For the most part, that year, I was alone. I did a lot of things alone. My thinking was very myself. So I was very internalized in a way. I was very much an introvert than anything else. Ambayo, personally, growing up, it helped me feel okay to be different. It made me feel comfortable to be different. To go against the grain, to do something that people don't agree with. Because for me, it makes me smile. Because when people don't agree with it and you don't agree with the collective and they deem you, he's crazy. Sio mzima. I like that. Because I get to take my own stance. Through that, I can put my hand up and declare to everybody, I know who I am. I am proud of who I am. The values I hold of who I am mean so much to me. And none of the collective, none of that can change that. For a bigger part of my adulthood, I would say about 3 years, I went through. See, most people would not speak about this. Most men will not speak about this. But I went through a deep moment of depression because I had to adjust. I had come from somewhere else, and I'm here in Dar, and I had to adjust to lifestyle in Dar. I had to adjust to how people carry themselves, workspace, home, family, this, that, because I've been away, different cultures, different places. And now, okay, I'm back home, now I have to adjust again. And because I was so comfortable with my inner space and my own understanding, at one moment it clicked and I went, hold up. First of all, why am I trying to fix this internal problem with external solutions? Why am I looking to people to try to fix this? Why am I trying to fit into this world that clearly I'm having problems with? So the moment I internalized everything and I went into the inner space and cleared things and fixed systems and everything, I was like, thank goodness, I'm back. And it was almost like I cured myself of depression. And for me, I was like, I have to make people aware of the space that they don't actually know is there. And it's the most important space of all. Your internal space is so important. What you let in from the outside will affect you subconsciously. You just new manners, new behaviors. You're doing something about why do I do this?
But this is not me.
Exactly.
You do stuff, but then when you go back, you're like, oh, but hold up. That wasn't me.
Exactly. Because we just do things because the collective is doing it, because it's deemed this is what is appropriate. Like the saying, ni maisha tu, it's life. Life is not. No! Like, we have the power as human beings to make changes. We're the ones who decide what is okay and what is not okay. The problem is tumeishi sana, where it's like, it's okay. It's fine. That is such a big issue. Because now, whoever can take advantage of that will take advantage of that, because what? Everybody says it's fine. I can do this. Whether it's a bad thing or a good thing, I can do this.
And so this brings you back to another issue ambayo I think we talk about collective thinking and I think pia kitu kingine ambacho vinaenda hand in hand with what we've just said is that because of that collective thinking, now as a result, men we do not hold each other accountable.
Thank you. Yeah. Because we say, it's fine.
Men we don't hold each other accountable. Kuna watu ambao tunawajua wanafanya vitu au labda hata mimi niko hapa kwenye podcast, lakini maybe na traits zangu ambazo sio nzuri na watu wanazijua, lakini like you said, the man box has made it quite okay kufanya vitu ambavyo they are not okay. As a result, as men we don't hold each other accountable. Na hii kwa sababu I think on social media, especially Twitter, lately wadada wengi sana wamekuwa wakiongea kuhusu hicho kitu kama wanaume, na as much as wanaume we don't like it, mimi najua pia ni ukweli. We don't hold each other accountable when it comes to being faithful kwenye relationships. We don't hold each other accountable tunapojua kwanza baadhi ya marafiki zetu maybe wana traits ambazo sio nzuri. We've normalized it for so long, kiasi kwamba saa nyingine unaona it's quite okay to get trash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Saa nyingine ni kari kwa kweli. Kwa siku hizi kuna msemo unasema wanaume watakufedhesha. So some of the stuff ambavyo vinatokea mwenyewe unasema kwa hiyo wanaume tunajua kutia watu fedhea. It comes from that. From that thinking. Na hii fear kila mtu kusema kwamba mimi as a man I need to be more responsible. I need to get out of this group thinking. Na kwanza kufikiria mwenyewe individual, and it's hard.
It is.
It's hard. But for you, how did you get here?
For me, it was actually living with different people from different cultures. I lived in India. I lived in Germany for a while. I lived in SA. So just in these different places, you cross paths with so many different people from so many different nations. And you see how certain people carry themselves. You go into their homes, you see the cultures and how they live and how... And I take my upbringing of, Swahili upbringing, and I sort of reflected with that. And I go, oh, we do this, they do that. Oh, we do it like this, they do it like that. From there, and from also actually... I've always had this seeking to know, to try and learn something different, to try and understand something from a different perspective, which has helped me also see things differently, Like the whole, you just brought it up, how we don't hold ourselves accountable as men, each other, If... I don't know if I should say it.
Just say it.
Just say it. If it's really, really bad, we'll edit it out. But if it's not really, really bad, we'll leave it. Just say it.
The whole being faithful thing. How? I come from parents who were divorced. So I never got to grow up in a home where I can see what love is between two people, But I've been around other people's homes where I see that, or other people's parents, and I see that. So for me, being a man means just that, being faithful. Because if you cannot be faithful to your first partner, the one that you've decided, let's say they're married, if you cannot be faithful to the woman you're married to, how can I hold you to be faithful to other things? When this is the person you've decided you're having the rest of your life with, you're building your life with, she gave you kids. He gave you 9 months, bro.
That's a lot.
No man can do that. Yeah. So being faithful is a trait that we should not equate with. I feel like we equate it with women. It's a female thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a female thing. But being faithful should be just next to something like leadership or honesty. It should be a trait that has no gender. These traits don't have genders. They're just ways of life, how you live your life. So we should, as men, hold each other accountable.
But the man box is stopping us.
Yes. But again, that's why I say we need to redefine the man box.
Yeah.
And to sit down and change the rules of the man box. Times is changing now. Like, I have a problem with how Africans, we've not been okay with the whole gay issue. We have bigger issues, guys. We shouldn't be worried with what one does with their sexuality. You know what I mean? So as Africans, we need to also be in that space of, guys, it should be okay for me to have a gay friend or a gay brother or a gay this or a gay sister or that.
We did an episode that it didn't go on air like a year ago. The one with the guy we recorded with again, Ruben, and he said something about what you've just said. And I said, growing up as a kid, he knows for sure. Kwamba babake, one of the things he never had to worry about was just the thought of his son being gay. He never, Lakini him being a father now, that is something that you have to think about. Modern times. Kwamba should something happens, mtoto wangu anakuja kuniambia kwamba, Dad,
I'm a they.
I'm a they. I mean, what do I do?
How would you
so,
take
man,
this is my pronoun.
Again, now, are you going to love your son any less?
Exactly.
Your own flesh and
your
blood.
own flesh and blood. Your own investment. Mwanaume.
Are you going to now be like,
are you going to go like now, I love you, but I don't love you so much because you're gay? Or, that is one thing about your, again.
Something changed.
Things are changing. Like you said, the man box. Now, as men, we have to think about, we should just get rid of the box.
I feel like we can't get rid of the box.
Do we need the box?
We do, but what goes in it is what needs to be our thinking. Yeah. What are we putting in this man box? Because at the end of the day, we're passing it on. I've received it from like my older brothers, my uncles, my dad, and I'm gonna pass it on. Teachers, friends, and everybody, and we pass it on. And it's things that we, in a way, even the people passing it on don't have a sort of set agreement on. Just somebody adds something. Yeah, so this person adds it, and then you get it. And then you're like, okay, this is what I have to deal with. And you cope with it, and then you pass it on. You know what I mean? So what goes in there, ndo vitu ambavyo tunabidi tukae na redefine. The man box is super, super dope. Kuna nini ndani? That's the question.
Kuna a certain event, I think, the event we did last year, the screening of the film. And after that, what's the name of that film, Nadia?
The masks we wear.
Yeah, the mask
I wear.
Yeah, the mask I wear. So after that, we had a discussion, and then we heard this guy, akaongea, anasema his father was a soldier. He was, lakini ni mwanajeshi kabisa. Akamempeleka kwenda boarding school. Lakini yeye anasema he was different from other guys. He wasn't really tough kama wengine au nini na vitu kama hivyo. So because of that, mwenzake wakaanza kumwambia kwamba wewe utakuwa shoga. Anakwamba even though
Yeah.
I'm not. So maana yake maisha yake yote ya O level. Na we all know the conversation ya ushoga na being gay how it is katika culture yetu ya Kitanzania. So maana yake maisha yake yote aliyofanya O level in that boarding school, he was dealing with that. Na alikuwa anasema akirudi nyumbani hajui hata anaanzisha vipi conversation kumwambia baba kwamba I feel like I'm being bullied at school kwa sababu ya watu wananiambia hivi na hivi even though I'm not. As he was talking, mwenyewe nikaanza kufikiria shule nilizopita, watu walikuwa tunawatania na nini, and how as a result probably kuna watu wamekaa na hiyo trauma.
Yes.
Yeah.
Na kuna watu wamekaa na hiyo trauma na probably some of them or most of them they haven't dealt with it kabisa. Do we blame the man box for that as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
We need to hold ourselves accountable. Because if we don't, we keep passing it on. We keep passing it on. And my child or your child will be in school and go through the same thing.
Yeah.
And then their child will go through the same thing. It just keeps going on and on and on. So we have to hold ourselves accountable. The first time I went to school with gay people around me, coming from Tanzanian upbringing, again, my head was filled with, that's wrong. That's wrong. People go to hell for that. That's wrong. And I get around these people, and my first expressions, nikiwa na conversate with people and they're there, was very ugly. Was very ugly. And how they treated me was different. They treated me kindly. They treated me with respect and all that. I remember correctly to this day, the room was filled, conversation, and I sank into my chair. I'm like, what are you doing? Did you decide to be nasty, or did somebody else decide for you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to first yourself. That whole, you starting with the man in the mirror or you starting with the person in the mirror, that is deep. So you have to go internally and assess yourself. Does this represent me and who I am? Every single thing we do. Because that's how we define ourselves. The things that we pick as what's right and wrong is what defines us as a person. So I had to sit down and go, wait a minute. He is so kind and nice to me. Why am I so nasty to this person? Do I choose this because this is who I am and this is what I've decided? Or has society and, the world and where I come from filled my head with this? And the moment I sort of got rid of that part, maybe as little or as big as it was almost like a little weight off or a little cleanse of, cleaning up some toxic parts out. And I found this whole new space where I can have a relationship with people who are not of, the same sexual orientation as me in the sense of who they like and who they want to be with. Yeah. And it opened a whole new world.
It is a crisis, and na katika times ambazo tunakaa sisi kipimo cha wanaume tunapima ubora wa wanaume na uadilifu wao kwa jinsi ambavyo sisi tunataka wao wawe, not because of wao wanataka kuwa nani.
Exactly.
And then again it's a problem.
That in itself is very toxic.
It is very toxic, Nadia. It is very toxic. And then again, process zima, like what Sadick just said, for him it was a process. Kuweza kukaa na kujigundua na kusema, you know what, I'm not gonna be driven na mtazamo ya watu wengine na and it takes a strong man.
Exactly.
It takes a very strong man.
Because you're breaking to build.
Yeah.
You have to break down that man that you carry so you can create another one. It's like creating a sculpture. It's a rock. You have to break it down, chisel all the way to create something new.
Yeah, and a lot of people are not ready for that.
Oh, no, it's a process.
It's hard work.
It's a process.
And we don't like hard work.
Humans.
I mean, Nadia, from your perspective, you've dealt with people. Have you ever had a person amefuata mwenyewe kwamba, not that they have issues, the marriage, probably marriage, kazi, mtu amefuata kwamba, I really, really want to be a better person. Help me.
So I do get people who their main goal, I want to improve. nimeona mapungufu yangu, o nadhani nina mapungufu, so nataka unisaidie kuyaelewa. You know, so again, it's the whole nisaidie to take this journey within. Because that's all we do. I just accompany you. I walk with you as you're exploring so that you're not alone. Yeah, and if anything is to come up, then tuko pamoja tutalifungua, tutalifafanua, tutali-dissect, tutaliangalia, and then we'll put it back together, we'll continue walking. Now, ukiangalia, a lot of the times, all these different, the toxicity, ni experience. Umepitia experience hii, imekushape aina fulani, na wewe unatengeneza sasa, you're understanding, okay, so if I'm a man, alafu nimefanya hivi, nimepata this reaction, means this is not right. And so, just as Sadick said, so, okay, let me define. This is something a man doesn't do. And add kwenye box. And I'll pass on. So now it's like generations and generations of... The first books had the basic masculine traits and characteristics that are positive and are constructive. And then as we go by and we harshly enforce those traits, kwamba huwezi ukadeviate kwenye hili box. Hili boxi hautakiwi kuruka, kuenda pwengine. There's no exploring outside the box. That sasa inaanza kubuild that toxicity. Kwa sababu ndio, as we said earlier, a man, a woman, we're yin and yang. In each, there is the other. And that's why we complete each other. Yeah, the world needs men and it needs women. So the masculine or the man box just put down these are the sets and characteristics of a man, not looking at that small part that is feminine and saying that these two belong in this box. Sasa when we don't do that and we each, that's ndo ukweli wetu kwamba in me there is sensitivity, in me there is love, in me there is weakness, then experience unazokutana nazo sasa zina shape the toxicity. Kwa sababu when you're trying to express sasa that small part of you that has these feminine characteristics and traits, you're met with a hammer. Unafunzwa sasa, okay, mwanaume hatakiwi kuexpress hivi. Anaongeza sasa kwenye boxi, anampa mwanae.
Mwanae ndiye atakuwa experience.
Ana experience zake na anaongeza. The people I work with ni process hiyo sasa ya ku-unlearn. Kwamba nimepitia experience hii. And sikuweza ku-explain, sikuweza hata sikuruhusiwa ku-experience hiyo emotion. Mtu aliniumiza, alinisema vibaya, alifanya kitu kikaniumiza. Yeah, I felt bad. But I was never allowed to be vulnerable. So sijapitia hiyo emotion, sijaiprocess, sijaielewa. So in therapy, ndo tunachokifanya hicho. Go back to an experience, tuangalia haya, hii experience imekuimpact vipi. Tuangalie kwenye timeline yako, hiyo experience ime-affect mambo gani mengine. Your interaction na watu, how did that experience impact it? Na unaona hapo sasa toxicity that has come from a specific isolated event. Imekuwa perpetuated.
But this is something for both tunataka kuelewa. How important is it, au ni powerful kiasi gani kumwallow mtu kuwa vulnerable?
It is the most valuable, priceless gift that you can give anyone. Kwa sababu binadamu ni dhaifu. Our nature. Kivirus kinatuua. We are weak as humans. We are strong, yes, but ukiangalia like our nature, harsh weather can kill us. Yeah. And ndo maana sasa tume-evolve. We've become intelligent. We know how to build houses. We know how to make air conditioners. We know how to make heaters. Kwa sababu tunajijua binadamu kwa undani wetu. Sisi ni wadhaifu. So when we allow each other to be vulnerable, basically we are allowing each other kuwa binadamu. Kwamba wewe ni dhaifu and I accept you as the human that you are. That's what vulnerability is. Because if I say I have to be strong, mimi huyu utanikuta pale hospitali na mafua au nina homa, you know. So when we think about it, hata mimi mwenyewe nikisema no, me I'm strong, alafu nikaumwa kidogo, nikawa shaken, nitaanza kujiquestion sasa my own identity. I believe I'm strong, but here I am, niko kitandani, siwezi kusogea.
Your experience don't add up.
That leads to a lot of mental distress. So ukimruhusu mtu kuwa vulnerable, au we give each other the space to be vulnerable, then we see each other as who we are, which is the most important thing, is to be seen. I see you, I hear, I accept you. And that's when you add vulnerability there, that's in all your vulnerability.
I think siku hizi niko na bishana watu will be using that line. Nikiona tuelewa nitambia I see you,
oh, yes,
I hear
that
you,
breaks down so
I
many,
accept you, you do you. I think I should use that in a life. Not with my wife, because clearly tuongeza mambo mengine. Like with other people. Sadick, do you feel like you are allowed kuwa vulnerable? Or wewe, you're okay with being vulnerable kabisa?
That's the thing. I will not let somebody else dictate how I feel, you know, even though it happens on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You know, you allow somebody else to get you angry. You allow somebody else to get you sad. It happens. But then there has to be those moments where you catch yourself and go, come on now. Why? Why can somebody else have power over my self-esteem? The key word is self. It's your esteem.
Yes,
Exactly.
You know
Yes,
what I
sir.
mean? So, and also I like what Nadia said about being seen, because vulnerability should be something that doesn't have judgment next to it. It should have observation next to it. Because when you observe something without judgment, the thing is as it is. If we put like shades, glasses, you know what I mean, and observe them, these are glasses. But you might say, I don't like the brown, you judge them. She might say, I don't like this, she judged them. But if we observe them as it is, then it is as it is. So when somebody is vulnerable and in that space, without judgment, they can observe and see themselves and go, oh my goodness, I didn't even know I liked this. I didn't know I felt this about this. I didn't even know this and that. Because there's no judgment to go, that's weak, or that's this, or that's that. You know, it just is as it is.
Yeah.
And then before she said something about emotions, processing emotions. Processing emotions. I'm still somebody who doesn't process emotions as they happen. Because, again, I reach into my man box and I go, I have to be a man about this.
Yeah.
And that's been my process of something happens, whether it's tragic, whatever, but it comes with emotions. I always go, okay, emotions, sit in this room for a while.
Yeah. Let's deal
Let
with
me
the
deal
situation.
with this
Yeah.
situation. But what a lot of men forget to do is to go back and check up on emotion. We keep going. Emotion now becomes an elephant in the room. It's huge. Because it started as a little mouse, now it became this big thing. But we have to, once you've done with the object, once you've dealt with the thing, go back now. Deal with you. Because whatever it is external most of the times. It is something you got to do out here to fix. And then you fix it and you go, okay, cool. But you didn't fix you.
Yeah.
You didn't fix how that thing made you feel or how it affected your ways of being. So we have to go back and go, okay, let me deal with this. And when we're dealing with it, don't serve it tea. Let it in through the front door, let it out the back. The moment you let it in through the front, serve it tea, it messes with your mental state. Now it's going so many different places because you're judging. I cried. That makes me weak. I did this when that happened. Oh, no, I shouldn't. No, dude. Just let it in. Be thankful for it, because that experience either has shown you something about yourself or has shown you a different way about something. With experiences, right? Because there's no place you learn more about yourself than in experiences, in relationship with people, in relationship with places, and in relationship with things. That's where you learn the most about yourself. And we go through these experiences and then we reach into the man box and equate these experiences with the man box. Then we mess up. But if you go through something, look at it from your own perspective as a man. Look at it from, does this define who I am? Does this represent myself to the people and the world that this is who I am? And then make your own choices from that without reaching into the man box. Because once you reach into there, you're back there. You're back in the man box.
Yeah. As we're winding up, there's something that I wanted to ask you. I know I asked you this when we were chatting on Twitter, on Instagram the other day, but about comedians and masking their emotions.
Oh, I love that question.
Yeah, because kuna mtu aliniambia kitu akasema kwamba most of the time funny men, comedians au watu ambao ni wacheshi wanapenda kuchekesha watu na nini, in most cases, according to huyo mtu aliniambia, I don't know how true that is, but sijafanya research na sijui kama ni kweli or not, but you can tell us, unaweza kutuambia kutokana na your own personal experience, is that most of them, they use the stage and uwezo wao na vipaji vyao kufurahisha watu na kufanya other people happy because wako busy masking their own emotions. You say comedian is a job just like any other job, literally.
But it goes both ways.
But then being a comedian is different.
It goes both ways.
Because you have to deal with emotions, kweli. Now, most of the time, get through your own personal experiences, at least from my understanding. So, how true is that?
If I say that, comedians are not unhappy people, or, as you've just described them, then I'm eliminating a whole group of people.
Yeah.
Which is not true. So I would say it's I like what I like to call divine dichotomy, or the divine sort of truth that exists in two places that are different.
Speak English, please.
Like two things that exist as true in the same space, but are completely opposite. But one has to exist for the other to exist. Big has to exist for small to exist. Left has to exist for right, and vice versa for every other thing. So comics, yes, there's comics who generally are sad, depressed, are going through things. And when they get on stage, it's therapy for them to express them through comedic values or comedic expression, and people laugh. That's therapy for us. We go, well, that was nice. It's like, it's a little joy that happens. And then there's comics who are okay. They have nothing wrong with them. They either come from nice families, well-educated, their minds are clear, but they're on stage doing comedy, So both worlds exist. For me personally, comedy became therapy. Literally that. It became therapy. It became a space where when I'm on stage, everything else is off. Nothing else matters. I'm on stage for that moment, for that little bit of moment. And when I get back off, I'm back to all the stuff that I just blocked. So as a comedian, I transitioned from actually trying to use a lot of my pain or try to use a lot of sadness and turn it into comedy and make people laugh, to just take life and make it comedy. Whatever it hands you, whether it's the good, the bad, make it comedy. Because if you don't do that, you're going to get to a space where there is nothing wrong with you. Where does your comedy come from now? Because you're so used to reaching into that bag of pain to deliver comedy. Now you have no more pain. So where is your comedy coming from now? So I think a well-rounded comedian, Nimtu ambaye, just takes from everything. Whatever everything around you, nature, environment, people, places, and just form it through your experiences of how you see it. Because that's what matters. People come to see how you see it as a comedian. What is your take on it? How do you put it in a special way? And the beautiful comedy is experienced comedy in the sense of I'm telling you something that I've experienced. And you can never lie to the audience. The audience knows when you're not telling the truth. They're waiting to eat you up. Yani wanasubiri, wanakuona kabisa wewe jamaa.
They can detect it.
They can smell it. It's like sharks and blood in the water. They smell it. And the moment they feel that you're being honest, you're speaking from a place of truth, they will ride with you all the way. You could even think, that was not funny. But to them, the energy connects. They they feel your truth. You could have not said one punchline in 2 minutes, but people just started clapping because they feel where you're coming from. So honesty is very much key on stage more than anything else.
So that is Sadick. Sadick, if people want to reach out to you, how do they reach out? How do they get in touch with you?
On Instagram, I go by the handle I am Sadick Ali. That's Sadick with a CK. A lot of people put Q's, people put this.
People get creative with your name.
Yeah. But it's I am Sadick Ali on Instagram. On Facebook, it's Sadick Ali. On Twitter, I believe it is Sadick Ali.
Yeah, you haven't used Twitter in a minute.
I don't know how to feel about Twitter. I feel like when I speak on Twitter, people go, you can't speak about that about Twitter. You can't say it about Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter is a little bit too sensitive right now. Yeah, it is. As we're winding up, Kabisa, if there's one thing you want people to live with on this podcast from the conversation we've had, what would that be?
What I like to say, love yours. In the sense of no matter what, there's always going to be something better. There's always going to be somebody with a bigger car, somebody with more money, somebody with more this. That which you have, hold on to it. Appreciate it, add value to it. Because that's basically your world. That right there is your world. And as people, I would also like if we could reach out more to each other. in a caring sense, in the sense of, what's going on, bro? Talk to me. You know, we don't do that as men.
Yeah, we don't. No, we don't.
Let alone as a people. As men, we don't do that, you know? So I think for just a little more love, a little more caring for each other, empathy and appreciation. Because my motto in life, or my idea of life, is you just have to go through life doing good. Not anything more than that.
Yeah.
Just do good.
Just do
That's
good.
it.
Nadia?
For me, I think we know the man box exists and we know how much it limits us. So now we know kwamba we are social beings and we like to belong. Lakini kama wote we feel the same way about this man box, which clearly we do. Tukianza mmoja wetu, unaanza kuishi, you live your truth. Yeah, you step out of that man box, or you relabel the man box and turn it into a possibility box. As a man, I can be brave, strong, and assertive, but I can also be in tune with myself, with my emotions. I can be empathetic.
Thank you.
Hapo you've claimed the world as yours.
Thank you.
And you've embraced and accepted yourself. And kama leo, as an individual, leo Nadia nikaamua kusema, okay, me, I'm going to live my truth. Kesho Michael ananiona, anaona mbona Nadia is comfortable and okay with being herself. Wacha na mimi nijaribu, because in my private time, I've thought about how I live my life and who I am. Haviendani. Michael does it. Next, Sadiq does it. The next thing we know, we're all a collective living our truths. And so now we're not outside the group, we're individuals in a group. So instead of having that collective thinking, we have our own thinking, but we all belong together. One human race.
We belong together. So I think peer pressure, guys. Peer pressure. I think that is one thing about your wanaume, lazima we have to address it. Na vivyo we have to find a way ya ku-unpack na kuiangalia na kuona namna gani ambavyo inatu affect sana, kwa sababu so lazima basically the man box is about the peer pressure. Is about making us men do the things, some of the things even we don't believe in, lakini kwa sababu tu tunataka kufit in, like walivyosema, tunajikuta tunaingia katika huo mtego. So box la wanaume inabidi liwe unpacked, inabidi tuliangalie na inabidi tuanze kuweka vitu vipya if need be. Nadhani hicho ndio ambacho inabidi ifanye, na it can start with me and you. And wewe ambao unatusikiliza sasa hivi, so Sadiq, thank you for coming through, my guy. This has been a great conversation. Thank you for coming through. Imekuwa conversation nzuri sana. And I think kwa mtu ambaye amesikiliza ameelewa kwa nini we had to come and address the man box. Au box la mwanaume, kwa sababu katika dunia ambayo mwanaume anachukuliwa kama kiongozi, then hili box ndio lina shape dunia.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Katika dunia ambayo mwanaume, mimi kama baba nyumbani tayari ni kiongozi, uko ofisini as a leader tayari ni kiongozi, ukiwa ni kaka mkubwa you know, na vivyo katika dunia ambayo inaishi katika mfumo dume kama wa kwetu, then basically it is super important to address the man box of wanaume. So we'll keep talking about this. We'll keep doing Men, the podcast, because that is the reason to be a podcast. If you want to reach out to Nadia at Mind Matters TZ, both on Instagram and on Twitter, there's a bio kwenye there's a link kwenye bio yake ambayo itakupeleka moja kwa moja kwenye website yake. Mimi naitwa Michael Baruti. Till next time, thank you for listening.
Men, the podcast.